Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Encompass Mental Health and Communication series. I'm Louise Hanson, and on behalf of the Encompass team, it is my pleasure today to introduce Marianne Bilodeau and Jacqueline Sabetti from Beyond the Blue. The mission for this communication series is to be a forum for addressing the stigma around mental health by having ongoing and open communications to provide hope to those who are struggling with mental health challenges by hearing the stories of others who have made it through extremely challenging times. And it's also to provide education tools and create an awareness of the resources that are available to people in need of support so that you know that you're not alone. And so it is our pleasure today to have Marianne and Jacqueline here to share a bit about their personal stories and how this led them to Beyond the Blue, with the goal of creating a community of support for OPP family members. So welcome. Now, just before I turn this over, there are a couple of housekeeping points. We have purposely disabled cameras and microphones so that everyone can participate anonymously. We will record the presentation and host it on the Encompass site to enable access for those who may have missed it or those who wish to watch it again. And Jacqueline and Marianne would be pleased to take questions that arise throughout the presentation. So if you have any questions, please submit them through the Q&A feature. These questions will come only to our panel, and we will read them out to the presenters in order to ensure anonymity. Now, if as you're listening to the presentation, you'd like to share your appreciation for or acknowledge what Marianne and Jacqueline are presenting, or if you think what they're saying is really awesome or resonates with you, you can type AAAA into the Q&A, or OOOO for standing ovations. So with that, I will turn things over to Marianne and Jacqueline. So welcome to both of you. It's wonderful to have you here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. It means too early in the morning to put those words together, but thank you so much for having us. The opportunity is truly incredible to be able to possibly reach more people than we could by ourselves. So thank you so much for inviting us today.
Yeah, you're welcome. Great to have you.
All right. I'm just going to share my screen and hope that the freezing rain has let the internet do its thing.
I know, it's always
always something, no matter what.
Yeah, no worries. Take your time there.
All righty.
I'll tell you. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Okay. Oh, no, that's all right.
I was just going to say, while we're expecting freezing rain and cold weather again, it was, a beautiful sky here in Ajax. So that was a nice thing to see first thing this morning. Alrighty, looks like you are good.
Go. There we go. We're gonna go not full screen because apparently that's just the thing this morning. That's okay. All right. Well, I would like to officially thank the Encompass team for having us. It's just, again, so great to be able to share our message. And thank you to everyone who's taking their time out of their busy Wednesday morning to hang out with us. And we hope that something resonates with you and to be able to connect with you later. So we are OPP Beyond the Blue. I am Jacqueline Sabetti, the chapter president. And with me, I have Marianne Bilodeau. She is our vice president out in the West region. Hold on. Silly question. Can you still see my face on here in the video? Okay, so we're just going to somehow do that because, 2 years of online school didn't do anything for my skills on Zoom, apparently.
There's so many different systems to get
There are, and I'm on a Mac as well, so who knows what it is. Is this much better for everybody now that we're not closing off part of the slide?
I can see both. I can see the slide and you, Jack, so I think we're good.
Okay, great. I just wanted to make sure because in my end, it looks totally different. All righty. Thank you for everybody for your patience with these glitches. It's just, it's 2022 and we're still here. So thank you. So I'm going to start with a little bit about me and my background. I grew up, I don't, if you may have read the advertisement for this event, I grew up in a bit of a policing family. My grandfather started with Peel. Actually, he started in London and in Metro in the UK in the 70s, and got recruited over to Canada to be one of the first Peel officers to do breath tech stuff. So that was really exciting. So we've had a whole history of policing in our family. And my mom used to be a corrections officer. So shift work and stressors and mental injuries and all of those things are nothing, they're no strangers to my family. So when my husband said he wanted to be a police officer, I was like, okay, let's do it, right? Like I kind of think I know what's going on here. I grew up with it. I know that there's a big sense of pride, a big sense of family. I was that little girl running around Peel going, do you know my grandpa? and chances are most of the officers did. Anytime I saw somebody in uniform, I was just so excited because, you know, my grandpa wore a uniform. So I think like something like that is just really special. But when it came to directly being part of my family, I quickly realized maybe I didn't have all of the skills I thought I needed to be the successful sort of balanced family member for a police officer. And it's the relationship that I found with my husband's coach officer, his wife, Melissa, who's in the photo with me. She's actually our EM Central VP. The relationship that we built together as two policing families is something that I'm never going to forget because it's part of the reason why we're here today. It's just invaluable to have those kinds of support. So I'm just going to share a little bit about those beginnings, and then Mariana will share how she became part of our chapter as well. So going back to when my husband started with OPP, maybe 6 years ago now, everything is so new and shiny, right? And then things start to come in, the calls start to come in, the things start to come home with the officer. And we were both very proactive with our mental health strategies, you know, getting outside, doing all those things, having pretty well balanced lifestyle with working out and all that stuff. But something that we wish that we had done even sooner was find a mental health professional to guide us along the way through this transition into policing. And part of that came from Melissa and her husband. Building that relationship with the coach officer was really important. He showed my husband the ropes. We got to know the family as well. And as we got to know them, they're like, you guys should add on to your skill set. You should. Like, it's just always something to have in your back pocket. And I was like, okay, cool. So we started to get a little bit more involved with taking care of our mental health a little early. And I'm glad that we did. And it wasn't easy, but it's worth it. So where I'm going with that is earlier on, just before I made the decision to learn a little bit more about what kinds of things policing families need for mental health, as I was getting all these comments from people who aren't in policing, and I'm sure we all kind of know what that's like when somebody who's outside of the policing world says things like, oh, aren't you worried all the time? And you're thinking, oh, well, not really, but maybe now, right? Because you're making me think about it, that kind of stuff. So we really wanted to honor that friendship that we had with Melissa and her husband, and just kind of be like, yeah, let's take their advice and run with it. And I'm glad that we did. And knowing that we have that, like, what's the word I'm looking for? We have their support, we have their friendship. There's that context that doesn't need to be explained because we're living the same kind of life, and that kind of friendship is just truly invaluable, in my opinion. And then it was a couple years later where my husband actually sent me an Instagram post for Canada Beyond the Blue. And he's like, oh, like, you and Melissa should get into this. And I was like, hold on. Like, let's see what's really, like, do I have time? And then I was like, well, yeah, I have time, because if my relationship with Melissa that friendship and that support and that empowerment and strength of being in a policing family. If I can create that for other people, who am I to be in the way? Right. And so then I was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to contact Canada Beyond the Blue. And I did. And I hit it off with the ladies, and they're like, so where do you live? And I was like, well, my husband's OPP. And they're like, so do you want to do it province wide? And I was like, okay, let's do it. So it's been a wild ride in the last couple of years. In mid 2019, we officially, Melissa and I, started the business plan for OPP Beyond the Blue, and we've never looked back. It's just been really great to bring this sense of community to more policing families within OPP, and know that nobody is alone in all of this, and building our resource bank and all of that stuff so that people do feel supported, because Ontario is such a huge place and the OPP polices some very rural spots. And that's the thing is no matter where we are, you're going to be able to connect with somebody. And I think like that's just the biggest piece. And we're only going to grow from here. So that's a bit about me and my background and how we became what we are. And so I'm just going to pass it over to Marianne.
All right, so some of you may know me, and most of you may not, and that's quite okay. I am the widow of Detective Constable Stephen Bilodeau. If you had the pleasure to meet Steph over his 10 years with the OPP, he likely left an impression on you. Always generally with a warm smile, or probably playing a prank on you. You likely never knew that he was quietly suffering from mental illness. As most things in life, hindsight is 2020. And so my hope is that talking about some of the challenges in his behavior and the changes in our marriage that we both shouldn't have overlooked, hopefully that will bring some more awareness to the situation and ease some of the stigma that some wives may feel, or some spouses, that it's just them, or that maybe this is part of the job, or maybe this is how things should be. So joining the OPP Beyond the Blue has really helped me give a voice to his struggles and the struggles of many, and attempt to ensure that no other families have to suffer the loss that we have. There were signs that we didn't see, and some that we did, some that we maybe overlooked, thinking that it would go away. However, I didn't know where to turn, and I didn't know that there were supports at that time. So as a spouse, I'm opening myself up to everyone to allow them to see that OPP Beyond the Blue is there. Now we have Encompas. There are so many more things that have happened in the last few years, that there are supports there, and we're working to fill the gap and strengthen all of our families. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome. Okay.
And if I could just jump in with just one comment there, I want to say that it can be overwhelming to know where to go and to find resources, and that's why it's so great to be able to have you here and to have this forum, and the importance of having multiple access points to help, really, right, and spreading the word. And part of the Encompas role really is to be a central third party access point to a variety of resources such as your own. And so it is really great to see the changes that have happened in the last few years.
It really is. I mean, things have come a long way. All right. So let's get into a little bit more about what we do. So first and foremost, we are a part of a larger organization called Canada Beyond the Blue. And there are new chapters starting up each year. I think even this year we had 2 or 3 come in on the West Coast, which is truly incredible. I mean, the support for police families just continues to grow. And I think that's just a testament to the kind of support we're driven to offer.
Jacqueline, I don't know if you've done something different, but the volume of your voice dropped quite a lot.
Oh, is that better?
A little bit, yeah.
Oh, strange. Okay. Yeah, no. We'll call it the ice raid. I don't know what it is. So we are under the umbrella of Canada Beyond the Blue. And it's just so nice to see things expanding. We are 100% a volunteer-led group, and we work to ensure that the voices of OPP families and members are heard and represented. So we do this through working collaboratively with a healthy workplace team, with Encompas, with OPP themselves, and with the association as well. I mean, we're kind of having those open lines of communication is really great, because we can take concerns and questions and field them to all of our networks and see if we can help in any way. Because in our family, no one does fight alone. We raise awareness on what it's like to be a policing family as well through our social media platforms. Having that shared and lived experience plays a key role in serving our police families, whether it's a phone call, just to chat sometimes, putting stats about mental health and mental injuries, mental wellness up on our social media platforms, so that the general public can get a taste of, oh yeah, maybe something will resonate, and policing does come with its challenges. And we offer education and programming to our members through workshops, but what we rely on feedback as well, because our team, we can come up with things that we think you guys want to see and have delivered, but it's really your personal feedback that helps drive our programming to better serve the needs of our members and our families. So support does come in many ways, and it kind of touches on the previous post as well. So education and programming, we have a curated way of delivery mode to meet our members. It's very personalized. We run events. Marianne will talk about that a little bit later. And really, it's the old adage of knowledge is power. It holds true when you're trying to build resiliency and having an understanding of mental injuries. The thing about being a lifelong student doesn't stop when you become a police officer's family member or a police officer, right? Having education and programming at your fingertips is great. Through advocacy, a lot of that is done on social media. It's such a great way to get our message out there and share support in so many ways on just so many different platforms. Now that COVID restrictions have lightened, we may actually be able to have a social event. Our chapter started, I think our official launch was in February of 2020, just as everything was pivoting beyond pivot in 2020. So here we are, this brand new chapter going, yes, let's have a summer picnic somewhere with somebody, and the world said no thanks. So we had to pivot, and that really it just helped us broaden our reach, I think, because I mean everybody else did and we ran with it. Fundraising is huge for us. We are 100% volunteer led. We are a nonprofit organization, and in order to deliver some of our programs, well, they cost money. And so we fundraise a few times a year, and accepting donations is a huge part of what allows us to do what we do. And having those social events just really enforces and reinforces and fosters that sense of community. We have some regulars who join us for every event, and I just love seeing their names because I know that that's making a difference. And I know for me, being able to, and our team members, being able to have regular events just is some place to hang out, right? The last couple of years has kind of thrown everybody for a big loop, and it's just something else in your back pocket to do. The community of support. We have a Facebook group for family members, and it's private. It's great. We are confidential. There's no such thing as too small or too silly of a question. Policing life throws all kinds of things at you, so you never know, right? And that's the thing. It's just the beauty of the community of support that we do have. Something as simple as holding space for another, just to know that's all right. You know, we'll get through it. We will be with you every step of the way. And I think that's the biggest piece of support. I know for me, never feeling alone in this policing journey has really changed my perception of how we're going to get through it no matter what comes our way.
Awesome. So there are quite a few things that make us unique. Obviously, one of the biggest ones being OPP is that we're province-wide. So where some of the other chapters are in their own little regions, we spread wide. So one of the things that we have on our website that you have access to is our Right Fit Guide. And honestly, I wish I would have known about this, or I wish it was a thing when I needed it. Finding the right therapist can be so difficult. Speaking from my very own experience after my trauma, I knew right away that I needed to speak to someone. I have 3 small children. I knew that I needed help talking through everything. Went to the first therapist that was recommended to me, and while telling my story, their jaw dropped open. And I was like, this can't be happening. You're the therapist. How am I supposed to get anything from you if you are just traumatized by my story? So our Right Fit Guide gives you questions to go through therapists, kind of like an interview. Pre-interview these people, make sure they're the right fit, make sure that they have policing background or first responders, that they're maybe trauma informed. I was never going to benefit from someone who couldn't even hear my story without being shocked. So it took 3. And you know what? And that's okay. It's okay to go through multiple people. You need to find what works for you. Is it someone that's a little more crass, a little more involved? That's fine. Is it someone that's going to sugarcoat things? You know, we all need different things, and that's okay. So this Right Fit Guide that we have really is instrumental in helping a lot of our members work through some of the early processes, because finding a therapist can be just excruciating, to be really honest. And I think that Jack was going to jump in on the other 2 points.
Yeah.
Could I just jump in there for 1 second as well? I just really want to underscore the importance of fit. We're all people.
Yep.
And it's so important that you have a good fit, and you don't always with the first person that you meet with, as was your experience. And it's also important that who you're going to see understands your world, right? And kind of gets what you're dealing with. And I just wanted to say that within the Encompas program, as we're looking at it, we also very cognizant of that. Offer choice, because on paper somebody can look great, right? But when there's also who they are as a person. And so I just had wanted to say that that's there to guide you as well, but it is so important. So.
Yes, one of the other things for us is that we also actually personally interview all of our professionals that we deal with. We have a call with them, we do Zoom calls with them to really ensure that they are the right fit for our members as well, because it is so important. What we do and what they're potentially going to share with these people is private, and we need to ensure that they're going to be the right fit for them.
Exactly. Yeah, we take that a little bit of an extra step. And all of the Beyond the Blue chapters do as well, just to make sure that somebody from a policing world needs somebody, and we avoid that jaw-dropping scenario, right? I mean, we don't want to have that happen. So that's exactly why we do what we do. Another thing that makes us unique is we provide the options that fit OPP's uniqueness. So a little bit about that is we know that there's more metro settings for OPP, but also most of the detachments are pretty rural. And a little bit of backstory on me again is we just came back from a 2-year term in Moosonee. So I don't know if everybody knows where Moosonee is, but at the bottom of James Bay, at the bottom of Hudson's Bay, there's a little tiny town called Moosonee, and it's only accessible by plane or train. And in the winter, when everything's frozen enough, you can drive in and out. personally didn't drive on the ice road, too much for me. But being in a town with maybe 2,000 people in such a secluded area, the policing life is very different up there. There's no anonymity. Everybody knows who you are when you get off the train, when you move into town. They know where you live because all the cars are parked out. It's a tiny, tiny town, so we can all imagine what that's like. And you're kind of labeled as soon as you walk into town. And not like in comparison to municipal organizations, that's kind of another thing that sets us apart is those rural postings are different than working in the city. And the toll that it can take on an officer and their family is way different than what a typical municipal officer would see or deal with, or my husband likened it to being in Groundhog Day very often. And their decompression time of coming out of the cruiser, stepping into the door and being at home, there is no 45-minute commute home listening to the radio to decompress. It just doesn't exist. And so when we were up there, we really valued our resources from Beyond the Blue, as well as all of our strategies that we had previous that we brought up there with us, like our home gym. And the community up there was great. Everybody took care of one another, because not just because you had to, but because we all knew what we were going into. And so we decided no one's going to have to deal with this stuff alone. And things like relocation, people who get promoted or join special teams, there's relocation units, and they helped us move to and from Moosonee, and it can be a big deal. It's a huge stressor to move an entire house and family literally across the province, put all your stuff on a train, organize it, have it work for moving trucks and storage units and all kinds of things. And sometimes you just need somebody to listen to all the stuff you're going through, to be like, dude, why? and that's another thing that we can offer is we've got members who've been through the relocation. We've got members who've been through northern rural policing, who can help somebody else through that. And I think that's just a huge piece of, like, it goes back to the community, it goes back to the support. It's just that thing of, again, no one is alone. We never know what kind of lived experience, shared experiences people have until they reach out. And for somebody else knowing that we've been through what they've been through, and we're not going to just leave them high and dry because, oh, you're a police spouse, you can handle it. No, that's not what it's about, right? So really just diving into those things that make us different.
Can I interrupt with a couple of questions? Just wondering if you could share a little bit. It sounds like what you have the ability to potentially do is match members or connect members to other members to talk about what's going on, right? And share experiences. Can you, and apologies if you're going to get to this, but share a little bit about what happens when somebody calls in? You know, what can they, expect when they reach out to you?
Yeah.
Just a little bit about the process, who you speak to, all of that sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. So that's going into like a little bit further into this one.
Oh.
So totally, no, it's a great, great. It's all in the same bubble. So when things like that happen, we get an email or we get a phone call or a text message. We do have like our case management that we have. If we determine that it goes so far as that, or it can just be, hey, like, we're getting relocated to Pickle Lake and I know nothing about it. We'll go into our Facebook group and be like, hey, anybody over here, anybody over there, anybody who's dealt with relocation who has a minute to chat with somebody. Because before I had personally been relocated to Moosonee, I had no idea, right? I had no idea about it. But now I can field some of those questions and I can give somebody pointers. And it's a case by case basis. Somebody might message us going, hey, there was a call and it affected my spouse and it's also affecting me and I'm not sure what to do. So then the next step is to get in touch with them, have a phone call, have a Zoom call, if they're comfortable only having a chat conversation until things, we build that relationship with our members and get them to a point where we can ask, okay, what kinds of resources are you looking for? Have you already spoken to a professional? Have you shared with your family how you're feeling? Have you been to the family doctor? All of these different things that could apply. And we work with that person to build that little basket of resources from us, from Encompass, from whomever that's going to best fit that scenario, because everybody is different, right? Whether it's helping them liaise with somebody from the association because maybe they're not sure how to reach out to somebody about something, perfect. Or maybe it's getting in touch with Encompass and bridging that gap, because sometimes it can be very overwhelming and a little intimidating to make that first step towards taking improvements to your mental well-being. And I've been there. I've been that hesitant person on the phone going, I don't think I can call today. I'm going to call.
It's a hard step. It can be
It is a hard step. And the other part, like, we don't want you to feel alone. It's that nobody fights alone. Nobody fights alone with feeling stressed out about meal prep. Nobody fights alone with feeling unsure how to reach out for help. Nobody fights alone with thinking that they don't stay up at night shift because that's just what we do, right? It's just, we're always there for no matter what, because policing life is different and it throws so many things at you. So really it is a case-by-case basis. Going back to when somebody does reach out, we get in touch, usually via email or phone call first, and take things from there. And then of course, check in and on an agreed upon schedule, right? If somebody's like, no, I'm good, like, don't call me every day, then okay, cool. Are you okay with me checking in a couple of weeks to see how you're doing? Those kinds of, everybody's different, right? There are people who would like a connection every week, and there are people who don't, and that's okay, because we're there to have that model that fits you, to know that we are supporting you the best that we can.
So it's really kind of bringing the members to the other members, right?
And it is. It's bringing members to other members or other resources. If we, later down the road learn that there are a lot of people being relocated, then maybe we'll start a OPP Beyond the Blue relocation Facebook group or virtual hangout for people to come in and, share all their tips and tricks about how to deal with moving north or, whatnot, right? It's just, we don't know until somebody tells us what they need as well, right? So it's always evolving.
Yeah. Is there any limit to, people reaching out to get support or?
No. I mean, if somebody has reached out for, let's say, help with trying to navigate the association, maybe they had a question, and then a month later they're like, oh, we just found out we're, my spouse tried out for the True Team and now we're moving to Kingston and I have no idea what's around there. Okay, cool. Well, we're going to explore Kingston together. Maybe we'll help you find childcare, that kind of thing, and connect with our members out there. Offhand, I know there's a few people that I know who are in Timmins. So if somebody's going promoted and goes up to South Porcupine, then, maybe they want to connect with those families who are already established in the policing community up there, so that you're not starting and reinventing the wheel when you arrive, because moving to a new town, and no matter what job you're in, is already stressful enough, never mind trying to find the support that you're looking for. So it can be, somebody can message us every month for something new, no big deal, right? It's we're going to help you to the best of our abilities. And that's just kind of where we're at.
Nice.
We really just also help them find the resources that we now know are there that they may not know. So as a spouse, we don't get the emails that come out. So we're not talking to their coach officers or to their new sergeants about where they're relocating and what's in the town or whatever. And sometimes that information doesn't transfer back to the spouse. So it's about connecting on the family level. We're trying to provide the family the resources that are there that they maybe didn't know about.
Exactly. Yeah. When like, for instance, apparently there's a brochure about Moosonee. I still haven't seen it, and we've been and gone. So it's those kinds of things. Before Beyond the Blue was a thing for us, I was able to, I actually went on Facebook and Instagram and looked up #Moosonee to see if there were people posting about anything I could find. And that's kind of how I learned. But now, now there's people I know up there. So if somebody else is going, I can be like, hey, great. We're going to connect the families, because at the end of the day, the officers themselves, they have way more resources, not way more resources, but we've got the association for officers. We have Encompas, which is for family members as well, because that's how I ended up finding my therapist, whom I love. We have the organization themselves. They have the intranet, their internal website. Family members, I'm lucky if I can log in to the OPPA side of things and get a discount code from like Sport Check for, so the officers have so many things out to them, but the family members, when my officers came home with all of his stuff in a big hockey bag from the academy, there wasn't anything for me. I wish that there was something for me. And that's the difference. Like, that's what we're working towards, is
Fill that gap, eh?
filling that gap and putting in those pieces that, hey, your officer's an officer now. Perfect. We're going to give you this little toolkit. Join our group. Be part of the community so that you know where the resources are. You can always ask if there's something that isn't where you think it might be. How do you deal with transitioning from a police officer into a policing family? Just all kinds of things, right? And it's just being that extra layer of support for the family members. We're doing what we wish was in place when we were in it, and are in it. So I think that's just a super powerful piece for me.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All righty. If anybody has any questions a little bit more, feel free. I don't want to move on. I know we just talked about a whole bunch of stuff. If there's any questions that come back to this while we're on other slides, that's okay too.
Yeah, I'm keeping a watch there. Those are all the questions so far.
Perfect.
All righty. So let's go into a little bit about I talked about how fundraising and donations are a huge part of what allows us to do what we do. And so we do 2 major campaigns for fundraising a year. One just ended. So if you ordered some talk bracelets or some green epaulets, thank you so much. Your donations and support are going to go to fantastic use. We have some huge goals this year, building our team and so on. So it'll be really great. This is and it's really special, the green campaign that we have. We have support from the commissioner, and knowing that the permission to change the uniform for every officer for a week in May seem really small, but I also know that other organizations and like police organizations don't allow such a change or personal representation on their email, my goodness, on their uniforms. And having the commissioner's support for officers to wear these green epaulets if they so choose is monumental. We are all so grateful for his support in the mental health initiatives, mental wellness, everything. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of those things that have allowed that to happen. And the talk bracelets can be worn by anyone. You can wear them if you're in uniform, you can wear them if you're civilian, family member, kids, whoever, whatever. They're just really fun because they're those silicone bracelets. The Santa coin is really cool because we know that shift work gets in the way sometimes of family events, missed birthday parties, missed barbecues, what have you. The Santa coin is really special because if you shift your celebrations based on your shift work, then Santa still knows where to find you. So the coin comes with a letter as well to the kiddos to say, hey, we know your mom or dad might be working on Christmas, but don't worry, when you put the Santa coin out, he'll know when to come and deliver your presents. And a little extra thank you to the first responder in your family. And it's just so nice because it just adds a little bit of extra magic, I think, to the holiday season where some kids will be like, oh man, they might talk to a friend and say, oh yeah, we had Christmas on the 20th, and other kids are like, oh, well, like, why do you have your Christmas differently? And it's because, well, my mommy is working, so we had our Christmas early. And then some other kids will be like, well, how did Santa know when to deliver your stuff? And they can be like, well, because we have the coin, duh, right? And it's just something that's fun and special, and can be used every year as like a little token, and who knows, you could even turn it into a tree ornament if you want to. It's just, I think it's something special to have, and it's unique to policing. And the other side of the coin has Canada Beyond the Blue logo on it, so it's neat. It's kind of like a challenge coin. I know officers love challenge coin and morale patches, so that's another part of it. But all the proceeds from our fundraising campaigns go directly to supporting our programs, and just helping us to build our resource bank.
Santa Coin got a standing ovation here.
Oh,
in chatter.
Perfect. This year was the first year, or sorry, last Christmas was the first time we did it, and it was great. So we will be doing it again, and it will probably open in the fall. I would say September, October of this year, for this Christmas's order. So heads up, guys, stay tuned to our emails for that. And the green campaign has just closed to get everything out. Everything is made to order, so getting everything into us and then shipped out across the province in time for May. Everything is closed for that right now, but the talk bracelets are still available until the end of March. So if you do want to shop and gift some things to people, go for it. You can find it all on our website.
Perfect. So although COVID has been difficult over these past couple of years, it did open up some more possibilities for us to connect virtually like we are right now, which in our case, since we cover such a vast area, allowed us to reach more of our members by hosting a lot of virtual events. So one of the events that we've hosted this past year, on top of mental health related courses, we had a fireside chat with our paralegal partner, Michelle Lamazo, on all things WSIB related. So we know that the WSIB can be its own little challenge, and so we have a professional that you can connect with on our website if you need. And our members were allowed to openly ask questions throughout the fireside chat or send them in anonymously. The feedback for this event was great. We know that the complexity of the paperwork and anything WSIB related can be a daunting task. So our members really opened up to this event. And we also will definitely be having another one with her because she is a great resource for us. And we know that the challenges that can face are ongoing. So we'll definitely do another one with her. So if anybody's interested, do let us know. And another one that we hosted was a nutrition and self-care workshop. This was an excellent event. We had a lot of our members, whether it be singles or parents, join the event, and we did a cooking and meal prep class. So it was a Saturday morning, and we had some little ones on video chopping up vegetables and learning how to eat healthily, how to batch cook, because we all know that the shift works and long days can be a game changer for families, and being able to feed your body helps your mind, and we all know the connection. So that was a great little workshop that we had for our members. And obviously we'll hope to host another event like that. So these are just some of the things that we have. They're a little bit different, but kind of all encompassing on the whole mental health, and it connects back to everything in your world.
Yeah.
Ideas.
Okay. Yeah, it's really, I mean, of course we offer webinars and conversations and things to do about mental health and mental wellness, but it's also everything else in between at policing. It's something like a fireside chat with a WSIB expert is such a game changer. It's just a chance to be like, oh, I'm dealing with a claim. Oh, that's really great. I should join in and just ask my question, because sometimes maybe you don't want to be on hold. And maybe you're just like, I want a second opinion. You know, all of those things are just really great to have. And we were so thankful for Michelle's time, and we are definitely looking forward to programming another one. And for all of our events, they're posted on our social media pages, as well as included in our monthly newsletters. So if you would like to sign up for those as well, that information can be found on our website. So after all the things that we've just talked about, if you would like to get involved, there's lots of different ways to do it. And we'd love to hear from you.
Sorry, Jacqueline. Sorry to interrupt you. There are just a couple of other questions I thought made good sense to kind of interject now, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So one question was, you were talking about the challenges for family members to even know what's available and how you don't get the same information many times that the officers do. Do you have any suggestions for how better to reach families?
In terms, like from the organization side point, like.
Yeah, or the association side.
I think when I'm looking back to my own experience, and I think that that's probably the most valuable one, that, like, I don't want to speak for anybody else, of course, either. I'm going to go back to when my husband had his family day sort of celebration just before graduation at GHQ. We walked all through the main hallway of GHQ, and there were booths everywhere. There was swag from the OPPA. There were magnets we could pick up. There was one table from EAP, which is now the Healthy Workplace team, which is now also involved and work collaboratively with Encompas. So things are a lot different now than they were even 6 years ago. But our dream is to have somebody there for every family day at GHQ, at least for the graduates, to come home with a little package. And I know things are changing. Our information is on the Healthy Workplaces team brochure. So we are one of their listed partners. We can be found that way for families. A lot of the times, I think officers might just forget to share that information with families. So another thing for me is I got really used to going, it reminds me of, my mom asking me, did you bring home the newsletter from school? Where's the permission form? And so I would go to my husband and go, did you get anything interesting when you were at all of these things, these events, like anything brochure for me to read, like what's going on? And not to make it too lighthearted or anything, but I feel like even asking, hey, is there anything for me to read? Is there anything that I would feel more informed about XYZ by reading something that was given to you that I could have? Or is there anything for families, hun, on your intranet? Can you find out for me? Can we look together? Like, I don't need to see all the nitty gritty, but can I look with you? Those kinds of conversations. But coming from the organization themselves, having a little bit of extra family things to hand out during recruitment sessions or info nights where family members do come in, or maybe not. I mean, there's info sessions, especially with COVID, it's very restricted in terms of numbers, right? So maybe if having a resource for the officer, maybe for every 3 or 5 resources for the officer, there could be one to take home for that person's family, right? Oh, you're a prospective OPP member? Perfect. Let me give you 4 pages of information and a 5th for your family.
Right. So targeting and calling it out, right?
Yeah, I feel like from them. And that's where we're really working now. I mean, we've been around for a couple of years, so things are building, things are growing, things are evolving. And having that relationship and those open lines of communication with the association and organization are really what's going to affect that kind of change, right? Especially if for whatever reason somebody from our team can't be there personally, perhaps we could work with the Healthy Workplace team to have some of our brochures available. I know that we're always looking for ways for us to be more present now, especially with personal events or in-person events being allowed. to be at these different things, just to be present, to hand out brochures, to hand out information, to have conversations with family members, you know, to get them to join our newsletters or on our Facebook group or exchange a phone number, whatever, right? Everybody has different needs that way. So we're also open to suggestions. If you are out there and you want to email us suggestions on how you think a way to connect with family members would be great, especially because this is such a huge province. You may already be out in the West region going, well, I'm never going to go to GHQ for a family night, right? Like maybe there's something we could do, an online visit with your detachment, right? If that's something that families and the detachment will agree upon, to have family members join in for certain things, right? There's always different rules to abide by, but there could be something that way as well, right? Connecting with family members just as we are now, but in a different setting with detachments and detachment commanders.
No, that's great. That's great. And things like today, right?
Yeah, exactly. Things like today, right?
Yeah.
They are more marketed towards family members and a whole family situation, right? I mean, I know, going back to the example of, oh, did you bring home the newsletter from school or permission slip? I mean, after a long day at school, you don't really remember. You're so, you know, you want to watch TV and have a snack. It's the same kind of thought where somebody's coming home from a long day of answering calls and responding to who knows what. And after the decompression, they may have forgotten that conversation they had with somebody and be like, oh, hey, Beyond the Blue exists. You know, yeah, my husband might want to reach out to them or whatever, or maybe they've got something for the kids or something. You have your decompression, you come home, and it just slips your mind. So I mean, it's just one of those things. Always building those lines of communication is great.
No, great ideas. Thank you.
Yeah.
Just a couple of other questions. There's a question about civilians being a part of this. Just to your comments around, can there be, how does that work?
Yes. So the short answer is yes, definitely. The long answer is you're an OPP member. Your family is an OPP family. Bottom line. I also used to be a civilian. I used to work for the TSB, the Tech Support Bureau, before moving up to Moosonee. And whether we weren't frontline, but we still dealt with some things. And it was different. It was still shift work, but not quite the 12-hour shift work, right? Like there were still elements of policing kind of snuck right in there. And OPP member, uniform or not, you still deserve to have that support for your family. So yes.
Yeah, thank you. And retirees as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, the bridges into my next point is retirees. We have an ambassador program that we are building to help spread the word, and we really appreciate the lived experience, the knowledge, the expertise of a retiree to share how important it is for families to have the support and bridge that gap, which is a large base of the ambassador program itself, is having retired members spread the word, maybe a little bit of extra fundraising for us, connecting families who are still active to be like, hey, there's a webinar you should go to, check this website out. Hey, I think that you guys having this extra resource is perfect, because somebody who's retired really does have a great understanding of what is needed and how things could change or how things could improve, or conversations that need to be had and when during a career, all kinds of things that we're an early organization as a Beyond the Blue. We're still in the infancy stages. We're only going to grow, but growing with that knowledge base from a retired member is just going to help us. So our ambassadors are amazing. And if you'd like to be an ambassador for OPP Beyond the Blue, then we'd love to hear from you. Going into the peer support and session facilitator, that's something that we are building. Actually, this is our big goal for 2022, is to have OPP Beyond the Blue with its own peer support network run by family members for family members. We know that the officers have so much peer support from uniform to uniform, but what about the families and civilian members? This is where we're bridging the biggest gap that we know about. And it's a huge goal. Lots of people to train, lots of people to organize. It's pretty big, but pretty great. And a lot of that too is retired members. I mean, we know, you know what it's like, you know what resources should be given and when and how and all that kind of stuff. So if you are also interested in being part of a peer support team with us, then please don't hesitate to let us know and we will connect as well. Or even if you want to do your own fundraising, we've had officers before who did a polar plunge and gave some proceeds from their fundraising efforts to us, and it made a huge difference. I mean, your support from our shop is wonderful, but if you ever wanted to show support and help us in any other way, also please don't hesitate to get involved with that. It's another great way to spread the awareness of our chapter and what we do as an organization when you do choose to donate to OPP Beyond the Blue. So lots of different ways to get involved. Even just being a family member, you can hang around for a couple of years and decide, hey, maybe I want to be an ambassador. Cool, perfect. If you're in our community, we'd love to have you. Okay. So with that, it brings us to our connection slide. You can always connect with us discreetly and safely. My email is info@oppbeyondtheblue. Melissa's email is vp.central@oppbeyondtheblue.com, and Marianne's is vp.west@oppbeyondtheblue.com. It's a mouthful, but it gets to us. We have our website, the text message, and social media handles as well. So if there is anything after this, feel free to reach out, feel free to look at the resources. We're always growing, we're always working on updating our website as well. The internet is a fast place, but we are, again, 100% volunteer run, and we don't have a web designer, so it's all of us working behind the scenes to make it happen. So I just wanted to say again, thank you to Encompas, and thank you so much to all of you for joining in this morning. It really does mean the world to us for you to come in, listen, and have some takeaways, ask questions. It's a great way for us to understand the needs of our members and potential members so that we can continue to grow and serve the policing community.
Well, first of all, I want to thank you both so much. I think having a sense of community, being connected is so critically important. I mean, everybody needs something different very often. And I think, like I said, I think the sense of community is so important. And I really applaud your desire to fill a gap there, and really appreciate the work that you both are doing. And thank you so much for your time here today. You provided, some great information. So thank you. If I can just switch gears quickly, I just wanted to thank all of the participants as well for joining today. And I want to just take a minute and talk about the next session that we have coming up. We're actually going to be offering something a little bit unique, a little bit different, that we think will be of great value to many. And that is that we're having a 3-part series on sleep, which will be April, May, and June, the 4th Wednesdays of the month. And this is going to be a series that is delivered by a circadian rhythm expert, Dr. Glenn Landry, who does has done a lot of work over the last 10 years in helping first responders deal with sleep issues. Just important to note that these sessions they're typically at 10 o'clock in the morning on the last Wednesday, but these ones are going to be at 1 o'clock, and they're going to be for 75 minutes this time. This is a series, and so one session builds on the next. And you'll have the ability to register for all 3 sessions. But we also appreciate that, that's kind of a big commitment and you might not be able to make that. So the sessions will be recorded as well. and we'll post those on the Encompas, the Encompas website. So the promotion for that series will be coming out shortly so that you can register, but we're just really excited, to be able to offer something that we think will be really, really valuable to a lot of people. Sleep is such a challenge for many people, and certainly within the first responder world as well. So thank you all very much. And again, Jacqueline and Marianne, thank you so much for your time and for the work that you're doing.
Thank you very much for having us.
Thank
All
you so
right,
much.
take care, everybody.
Take care.
Bye.